Welcome to another episode of OG55. I got theme park conductor with me today. We're talking about his experience at DCA's 25th anniversary kickoff. We're also talking about a lot of stuff in regards to whether Disney is a studio or a theme park company. There's been a lot of debate in regards to that recently, and a lot of other stuff. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. Oh, and Bob Iger is doing his rounds with Josh Diamaro. But it's like, what's going on? I thought Bob Iger was leaving. Where's Dana? We'll talk about that too. Up next on this episode of OG55 Conductor. OG55, we're talking West Coast. Here we
I ain't got nothing to say but West Side.
Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. We're talking DCA's 25th anniversary. We're talking about Disney, whether it's a studio or a theme park company. We're talking about Bob Iger not being able to let it go. We have all kinds of stuff we are going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to introduce my good friend, Mr. Theme Park Conductor. How you doing, sir? How you doing today, sir?
Doing well. It's always great to be on Orange Grove 55, and like you mentioned, there's so much we're going to talk about because some of the stuff I saw was absolutely crazy. But you can find me on YouTube and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor, on Instagram at theme_park_conductor. You can find me on X at Theme Conductor, TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1, and every Sunday at 5 or 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we have amazing guests like the one and only Orange Grove 55 with his wild, wicked hairstyle that I love so much, and so many others as we break down Disney and Universal news. We speculate, we talk rumors, and the chat is always amazing. They interact with us, we interact with them, and I actually got to meet a, a follower of Theme Park Conductor. His name was Thrill B. It was great to meet him in person. So again, when I suggest if you see me in the park, believe me, I'm not a shark. Please come say hello because I
Yeah.
enjoy it. I enjoy it.
Yeah, the conductor's a really good dude. And I've hung out with him many, many times. He's not going to bite, I promise. And make sure you go check him out. He is really, really cool. Actually, Thriller B is an awesome guy himself. Like, I've hung out with him quite a few times, and really, really fun guy, man. You guys probably had a good time with him. He's fun.
Oh,
He's
dude,
at the parks quite a bit.
He's a vibes guy, just like you.
Oh, yeah.
Just like you.
Oh,
Total
yeah.
vibes guy.
Yeah. No, him and I, we had a good time. A couple weeks ago, I think now, 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's fun, really, really fun. But conductor, it's always awesome having you on, brother. We're gonna talk a little shop here. Let's start off before we get into your experience with the 25th.
Sure.
Let's get into because I've been seeing this kind of like discussion go on a lot on social media right now. It's kind of revived itself because we now have a theme park guy running the entire company. And a lot of people are out there talking about how, well, Disney's a theme park company. The theme parks make the most money. Therefore, it's a theme park company. I push back against that quite a bit. Just because, number one, just because theme parks make the most money doesn't necessarily mean it's a theme park company, right? What actually fuels the company is the studio. It's always been that way. But before I kind of dive into my opinion and kind of get into the nitty gritty here, what's your thoughts on this? Because it has been a discussion that's been kind of going on in the community about this. Disney theme park company, is it a studio company? What's your take on it?
Personally, for me, I agree with you. It's always been a studio, it's always been a studios type company first. But I think why people say what they say and they're mentioning that it's a theme park company is because right now we're seeing it.
Yeah.
The studio side is hurting. And the only side of the company that's actually winning is the theme park side and the entertainment side, the cruise line. That's why people are saying that online. but 100% agree with you. It's always been about the studios first, theme park second. But that's just my personal take on it.
No, you're right. You're right, Conductor. I look there. This is a big company, and there's always going to be kind of an ebb and flow of like what division is doing good at the time, right? I mean, during the pandemic, the only part of the company that made any money was technically the studio side with Disney Plus. So if we're gonna go by what's making money at the time, so I guess during the pandemic, Disney was the studio, but I guess after that, with the theme parks rising again, I guess then it's a theme park company again. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. For me, my barometer isn't so much about what's making the most money. That's kind of irrelevant in my opinion. What really is the barometer is what fuels the entire company. Really, what fuels the entire company is the studio. Everything. I mean, everything is dependent upon the characters, the IPs, the shows, the movies, all of that the studio creates, right? So, I mean, it's even more honestly more relevant now than ever because Disney doesn't make original attractions anymore. You know, we're not living in 1973 where it was like, okay, you know, we're gonna have like a Big Thunder or you know, we're gonna have a Space Mountain or even in the late 60s with Haunted Mansion. They don't do those kind of attractions anymore. They depend solely on IP now. So it's so important and more important now than ever that the studio is running on all cylinders, you know? And you're right. I mean, the studio has seen it has been struggling the past few years. I mean, you know, they've had some wins lately. I think that Zootopia 2 is massive for them. That was cool. I think Avatar Fire and Ash has been a big win for them, but they've also had a lot of misses too, like Fantastic Four and things like Snow White and Tron, which really kind of flopped. But at the end of the day, it's really, really important to get that studio kind of chugging along because if you don't have those IPs coming in, the theme parks don't really have anything
Well,
to produce. You know, go ahead.
no, 100%. And one point I will add is, and we've talked about it, is the fact that you basically they went back to having the dual CEO without having the dual CEO to run the company. Josh Tomorrow is at the helm, but Dana Walden's a close second, and
Yeah.
she's taking care of the studio side. So I think that was smart because again, I said it, back then that it wouldn't be a sign of weakness to have something like that to just create a better future for the company because if other companies that are in the same genre to the point on the studio side can do it, Disney can do it. And the company was started like that with Walt and Roy. So it's something that is not a sign of weakness, but it's something that's positive and we're all going to benefit from it.
100%. Okay, I mean, for example, look at a franchise like Frozen, right? Frozen was a huge hit in the theaters. The original movie back in 2013, and I think the sequel was 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Both movies did very well in the box office. Those two movies were so successful in the box office and were able to translate that success into the theme parks with these frozen lands that they're building, right? Another example would be Pixar Cars. Again, a successful franchise that the studio created, and then they were able to translate that success into the theme parks. And it really kind of transformed, California Adventure, which we'll talk about in a little bit, DCA. But that Cars franchise really did transform that whole park. It's about to transform the entire Magic Kingdom. That's why the studio was so important to have these successful IPs and these films and these shows because you can use those to sort of bolster your theme park business. If Disney runs out of studio stuff or the studio isn't producing enough hits, the theme parks don't have a whole lot to put in their theme parks. And and that's a problem, man. I mean, that's a huge problem. So yeah, I do believe it's a studio first and it's a theme park company second. Now, I also want to make it very clear that doesn't mean that I think that theme parks are not important. The theme parks are very important. I think Disney is a well well-oiled machine, and all of these pieces to that machine are important. The theme parks are a massive component of that whole machine. But when you're looking at Disney as a whole and you're looking at what does Disney do, it's a Hollywood studio. It is. It's a Hollywood studio, and they have a theme park division. That's what it is, right? I mean, honestly, I don't. Here's the thing, too. You wouldn't want it to be a theme park company. You wouldn't want it to be a Cedar Fair. You wouldn't want it to be that, because if that was the case, you're solely depending on those theme parks. Where what happens if we have another, God forbid, another pandemic or something like that? And now you're mostly a theme park company. What happens then? You know, the whole lifeblood of Disney has been and always will be the fact that they have these multiple divisions that sort of like depend on each other. You know what I'm saying? All fueled by the amazing IP and those amazing characters, you know. But I mean, like I said, during the pandemic, I mean, it was all about Disney Plus. I mean, if it wasn't for Disney Plus, the whole thing would have been way worse off than it was. So yeah, anyway, I just want to say that because I do believe there is a lot of talk out there about Disney being a park company. It's not. Disney is not a Cedar Fair. It's not an amusement park company. It's just not. It's a Hollywood studio, and it has and always will be. And to further put like a little fine point on my point, I have a little quote here from somebody. Here we go.
The real heartbeat of this company was, is, and will always be the film business.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and that's Roy Disney, the nephew. And he said, was, is, and at the very end here, and will always be. And he's right. It will always be the film business, you know? So, yeah. Anyway, you know, I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about.
One point I just wanted to make on my side as well is once, you know, the new administration takes over on March the 18th and Dana Walden takes the helm on controlling that side of the company, the studio side, and we see better results with, you know, movies that just do great numbers in the box office. I think a lot of people's perception will go back to the fact that, like you stated, and others have stated, even Bricky has stated, it all starts with the studio first, with the IPs. So right now, I get why people are saying that. Hopefully in the near future, that changes.
Yeah. No, well said, Conductor. Well said. Now let's pivot a little bit. We got Bob Iger. Okay. I actually talked a little bit about this on Twitter today as well. And there's been a lot of good discussions around this as well. And a gentleman was kind of pushing back on me about my opinion on this, and that's fine. I welcome that stuff. I like having these discussions, but this is from Scott Gustin. And he's saying that Disney CEO Bob Iger shared photos of himself and incoming CEO Josh D'Amaro strolling through Disneyland on Friday. Iger wrote, quote, "A morning at Disneyland with Josh D'Amaro, the new CEO of the Walt Disney Company. I can't think of a better way to celebrate Josh's appointment." Okay, here's my issue with this. And I don't want to sound, you know, I don't want to sound negative or whatever, but we saw a similar kind of thing with Bob Chapek. Okay. It was like, yeah, Bob Chapek is the new CEO, but I'm gonna sit there and kind of like almost like chaperone, like supervise him. And it was like, you know, during the interview, the announcement, that first interview, he had to sit next to Bob Chapek, right? And you know, and this same thing here with Josh D'Amaro. It's like that interview with ABC. It was like he had to sit next to Josh during the whole interview. Now we're seeing Iger walking around Disneyland with Josh D'Amaro. Look, I've said it many times. I'll say it again. I like Bob Iger. I think he's done a lot of really great stuff for Disney. I think a lot of his acquisitions transformed the company for the better. Okay. I would even say Bob Iger is a Disney legend. I think he's done that many great things. He deserves that title. Okay. But I'm getting a little tired of this kind of this thing where he has a hard time letting go and a hard time moving on. We saw it with Chapek, and I feel like we're seeing hints of that now. I don't know why we're seeing Bob Iger walking around Disneyland with D'Amaro. It should be Dana Walden. Dana and Josh are the future of this company. Bob Iger was the last 20 years. I want to see more from the new team. I want to see Josh and Dana. And I think Iger, I think while his heart's probably in the right place with this, I think he needs to step aside and let Dana and Josh sort of take the reins here. Optically, I just think it's a bad look to sit there and sort of follow this guy around when he's the new CEO. It doesn't look. I think the idea is he's passing the torch and he's sort of like endorsing Josh and trying to instill a sense of confidence that Josh is going to do it or do well in this position. I get the idea, but for me personally, it almost does the opposite effect though. For me, it kind of creates a sense of like instability almost. Like you're kind of painting this picture where it's like Josh can't handle it, so I have to be here to like monitor him and like walk with him and stand by him all the time. He's just not ready yet. See, I don't like that. I think Josh is very capable. I think Dana Walden is very capable. I think Dana and Josh should be the ones doing this stuff. I don't know why Bob Iger is there in every single photo. I don't know. It drives me crazy, Conductor. Maybe I'm just being a douchebag, but what do you think?
No, you're 100% right. And as we look at these pictures, and then we all watch that ABC or news segment, it shows insecurity, and that's kind of what concerns me, because you reference back to Chapek and that whole thing when both gentlemen, Iger and Chapek, were at Galaxy's Edge and they were doing an interview. And then we saw it just recently with Iger and Tomorrow. I think Iger, like you said, with the best of intentions, is chaperoning because he doesn't want to see what happened with Chapek happen again. Because I don't think the Disney company and the Disney brand can go through another Chapek situation. I just don't think so. It would be very, very bad to see that. It would be bad show. But in a way, I understand why Iger's there. But I do agree with you. It shouldn't have been him, or it shouldn't have been Dana, and it shouldn't have been Josh walking around. That's something we can all agree that he's having a hard time letting go. But it's like, if I were Iger, seriously, I'd be in Burbank, communicating with the board, working out deals that I've already put in place, and let Tomorrow and Walden walk around the parks, kind of show their face, talk to the cast members, talk to guests, and get people excited for the future of the company. That's what I want to done.
Yeah, I agree with you, Conductor. I think that it's better. Look, I think that it's good to show confidence and strength that the old CEO kind of like endorses the new CEO, and that is important. But I mean, we already know that Iger is on board. We know that, and now, we have the ABC interview, and now we got this. We got the walk around tour with Bob and Tomorrow. It's like we haven't really seen Dana Walden. Like, I want to see Dana. Like, we barely saw Dana even during the CEO succession race.
And I want to hear her make a statement.
Yes, I want to hear. I would much rather in that interview with ABC been Josh and Dana, the future of Disney. We can talk to Dana about studio and Hollywood and entertainment and all that good stuff. We could talk to Josh about parks and other stuff, gaming. I want to see them two. They are the future of this company. Bob Iger is not the future of this company. Bob Iger had his time to do what he was going to do. And I just feel like this sort of like, look, Bob Iger already has a reputation for not ever fully leaving. That's the other thing. It's not like this is like this isn't like the first time we've been here. Like, people were telling me on Twitter, well, I mean, come on, it's only been a week and, it's a passing of the torch. I understand that. But you have to look at it in context. We've been here before. This happened with Chapek. Bob Iger also announced several times, even before Chapek, he was going to retire and extended his role as CEO. In 2012, Bob Iger said he was leaving, and he never did. So when you have all that context behind you, and then here we are with the new CEO, Josh, and Bob Iger is the one, like, tied to the hip with this guy. it's just not a good look. It's just not. Bob Iger has to move on. He has
Yeah.
to let Josh and Dana run this company. Now, I get it. Technically, Josh isn't running it, as far as we know, until mid-March. But come on. I mean, this is fine. I think the next few photo ops or even interviews or whatever, Dana needs to be part of this. Enough
Yeah.
of the Bob Iger stuff, I'm
Yeah.
getting kind of tired. But go ahead, conductor.
Well, just to add on, it's like history repeats itself, and that's what we all fear. I'm sorry, I can ramble on, but the one thing I will take away from the Chapek era is, even though he did a lot of damage to the company, and Iger was exposed during that New York Times article of being the catalyst behind the curtain, I will tell you there were small amounts of things that Chapek did right. He was trying to, but he was never going to be fully in control. And that's what everyone fears with Josh, that Iger won't be able to let go, that he'll sit there and oversee, decision making and all that. But I've stated recently that I think some of the moves we're seeing, at the Disney parks is not Iger, it's not the board, it's tomorrow making these choices. And one of those choices we'll get to next. I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, but like Galaxy's Edge, for prime example, I honestly do not believe that was Iger's doing, because you made a great point. He's been running the company for 20 years.
Yeah.
Why now, when literally days before, or like a week or two before the announcement, we hear about original trilogy characters going into Galaxy's Edge? I think that was a test, or a final test, to prove to Iger and the board that tomorrow can handle it, by taking a back seat and letting him make the call on that and not having anything to do with that call. And then the next thing we'll talk about, which I got to do last night, you know, I think that has something to do with tomorrow. And when you look at it, because I was hanging out with Bricky in the park, absolutely amazing to be in the park with him.
Oh, yeah.
We were walking in the Hollywood backlot, and we talked to some cast members, because Bricky's like tomorrow at this point, or Iger. Cast members see him in the park, they want to say hello and talk to him for a good minute, and it was awesome. One thing I will tell you is, a lot of the cast members, I kind of feel, are rooting for tomorrow, because they have stated that when tomorrow was the president of the Disneyland Resort, they felt that they were appreciative. They felt like their concerns were valid, like they were taken seriously. And tomorrow, almost every single morning, or quite often, would walk around the park and say hi to cast members. And he showed his gratitude, his appreciation. Compared to Iger, like, we've seen it. He'll sit there and go in the park, but it's not consistent. I kind of feel with Josh, even though he was running the parks and that was his department, a lot of the cast members really have strong ambition about Josh leading the company. So that's a positive sign right there, I could tell you.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, there's no, and look, I've had my criticisms of Josh tomorrow. I still do. I don't think he's run the experiences division perfectly. I think there have been some fumbles along the way, which is fine. I mean, that's normal. I mean, you're going to have that with anybody. I mean, even Walt Disney wasn't perfect. No one's perfect. So there's that. But one thing that he has excelled in, Josh, is that he has had a knack, an ability to really connect with people. That is Josh's strength. I mean, everybody, even people that are like really down on Disney itself or whatever, or don't really feel Disney's going in a good direction, have told me, like, you know what, hey, I've met the guy and he really like cares. He feels genuine. He really feels like, hey, he wants to know what your opinion is, which I respect that. I like that. That is exactly what Disney needs. They need somebody like that. I think Bob Iger, to be fair to Bob, I do believe Bob Iger seems like well, I think he is a likable guy. Bob Iger is a likable guy. Bob Iger has charisma as well. It's different though. Bob Iger, the difference with DeMauro and Iger, DeMauro seems like the kind of guy where you can be the blue collar construction worker and you feel like you're on the same level as DeMauro, even though you're not. Like DeMauro's a millionaire. Okay, let's be real. This dude's stacking more chips than Pringles. Okay, but he gives that sense of like you're one on one with this guy. He's one of us, right? Bob Iger will talk to you and he'll have a warm smile. He'll be really nice, but it's always that feeling of like he's a bajillionaire. There's that wall, right? You get that vibe a little bit. So that, go ahead.
I could tell you this. This is a great comparison, by the way. Like you mentioned, DeMauro is like one of those where you can go hang out with them at a bar at a restaurant, like Chili's or something, and just hang out and nerd out.
Yeah.
Iger's more of those, like, you go to a high-end restaurant, it's kind of like you wear your suit jacket, it's all corporate, it's all business. He'll talk to you, but it's like a high-scale environment. DeMauro's all like, you know what, let's nerd out. Whether it's in the parks, maybe somewhere public, let's do it. So he relates to a lot of people a lot better than Iger, because Iger, let's face it, he is social.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that. But his, when you look at Iger, his social is up here, and DeMauro's is down here, and most majority of people, even a lot of the cast members, are down here. Iger's more of that corporate America type social, going to Oscar parties and stuff like that, and DeMauro's like, nah, let me be in the parks. Let me be at D23 on the show floor and just nerd out.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, you could probably have a beer with both of these guys.
Oh, sure.
But to your point, like with Iger, you would have that beer maybe at Jeffrey's in Malibu, where DeMauro is like, hey, we can go to Chili's, It's a little more down to earth with Josh, right? So it's a different vibe, and neither one of them is right or wrong necessarily. But I think for Disney as a company, it works really well when you have a guy like Josh who can kind of connect with the custodial crew, can connect with the maintenance guys, can connect with the average guests, can connect with cast members and everybody at every level. Where Iger has a little bit of that Hollywood sort of like vibe, where it's like there's a little bit of a wall there. He feels a little untouchable, a little bit like he's money. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, there's a little bit of that distance. So, but we'll see, man. I mean, it's interesting. I don't want to come off like I'm hating on Bob Iger, because I do believe he's done a lot of good things for this company. I just feel like we're 6 years away. We're 6 years out now from the Bob Chapek announcement. That was in 2020, dude. It's been 6 years since they announced Bob Chapek. Okay. And before that, Bob Iger was talking about retiring. So that's why I'm kind of hard right now on this topic, because it's not like this is the first time like the retirement thing has kind of happened or come up. This has been an ongoing saga for like over a decade, man. And it's like, that's why I'm kind of like, get out of the photo op, Bob, and like let Josh and Dana do their thing. They are the future of this company, and you would instill more confidence. Like, honestly, constructive criticism, if it ever gets to anybody at Disney, constructive criticism, it would instill more confidence, in my opinion, to leave him alone and let Josh and Dana do the photo ops and the publicity. It creates an environment of like, they got this. They're running the show. When you have Bob Iger everywhere that DeMauro is, it feels like DeMauro can't handle it. It feels like, oh man, he needs his daddy Iger to walk around with him, because he might mess up. That's the vibe they're giving. Now, I know that's not the vibe, that's not the intention. I understand that, but that's the vibe they're giving. So hopefully this is like the last photo op where Iger is involved. I think from now on, again, if anyone from Disney is listening, I'm just saying constructive criticism. I would suggest having Tomorrow do it alone or having Tomorrow and Dana doing it. I think it would go a long way to have Dana Walden in the parks. Show parks fans that Dana likes loves the parks too. We haven't really seen that yet.
No.
Like, that's what we need to see. That's what fans want to see. That's what I think even Wall Street wants to see. They want to see Dana doing her thing. They don't. Bob Iger's out in a month. What we don't, you know what I'm saying, dude? It's crazy. So, but any final thoughts before we move on to our next topic?
So just final thoughts. Like I mentioned, it's something where Iger needs to step away, work on current deals that he's, he mentioned during the earnings call, and then other deals that we don't even know about. And like you mentioned, have Tomorrow, have Walden walking around the parks. Josh knows his way around the parks. It would be a great thing for fans to come up to both of them, talk to them, engage with them. It would be awesome, because when you look at it, we haven't really seen an interview too much with Walden. We haven't really heard her make a statement since the announcement. So right there, that concerns me. On top of that, like we just talked about, Tomorrow, or Iger's up here, Tomorrow's down here. He relates to a lot more people than Iger does. Iger is more corporate America. Tomorrow's down to earth. And that's something we're seeing. And that's why we've talked about many times before that as Josh is becoming the new CEO in mid-March to take over, we're having a parks guy run the company, which is not a bad thing. The last time we saw that was Walt himself, a parks guy, but also a studios guy, to be fair, but parks guy as well. So, and every CEO after Walt was a studios guy. So a lot of people like yourself and others are skeptic on what Josh's leadership is going to look like, because we haven't seen it in our lifetime. So I get the criticism. I hope Josh can handle it. I'm sure he can.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see what his leadership is going to look like. Like I mentioned, just to kind of tie it off, when me and Bricky were talking to cast members, I can tell you the positive enthusiasm of many of the cast members is high. Like, I mean, they are excited that Tomorrow was named CEO, because now they feel that they have a guy at the helm that can relate to them, and he can and they can relate to him. You know what I mean? Instead of dealing with that corporate America type.
I love that. I love that. I love that that's one of my favorite things about Tomorrow, is that he has bolstered the morale. I think like I said earlier too, like, I mean, everyone loves him. Everyone that has worked with him or has ever interacted with Tomorrow, they've all said the same thing. He's a great dude, yeah, my biggest fear with Tomorrow, my biggest fear with Tomorrow was the studio stuff, right? Because I was worried, like, okay, not that a theme park person couldn't do well with studio, because we've seen the reverse of this, right? We've seen studio people do great things for the theme parks. Michael Eisner came from Warner Brothers, Frank Wells came from, Michael Eisner came from Paramount, and Frank Wells came from Warner Brothers. But when they came into Disney, those first 10 years were incredible for the theme parks. I mean, what Michael Eisner and Frank Wells did for Walt Disney World is nothing short of a miracle. I mean, it was amazing. And what they did for Disneyland Resort and, Indiana Jones Adventure and all these crazy things, I mean, they were amazing for the theme parks. So you can have somebody that's not, maybe like, that's not their wheelhouse. You can have like a studio person do amazing things with theme parks, and you can have a theme park person do amazing things with studio. But right now, in the current environment, when you have, streaming, and I've said this so many times, but not everyone watches every video, so sometimes I repeat myself. But like, with streaming causing a lot of disruption on the Hollywood side, you have AI causing a massive disruption. You have this Netflix deal with Warner Brothers potentially causing another disruption. the studio Hollywood end of it is really going through a seismic shift and a lot of change. You kind of want to have someone there high up that knows that world. I think it's risky not to have that. And I think Disney saw that as well, which is why they promoted Dana to president. So my biggest critique of Josh, I feel better about that situation now because they did promote Dana to president. I would feel very uneasy about the studio side if Dana was not president. I would. I would be nervous, very nervous. Because like I said earlier on in the conversation, the studio fuels the entire flywheel. You got to get that studio in order. The studio has to produce hit makers. If it doesn't produce hit makers, the theme parks, the cruise lines, the games, none of this other stuff has anything to work with. So we'll see. Conductor and I were very optimistic. We're rooting for Josh. We love this company. Right? We're rooting for Josh. We're rooting for Dana. But at the same time, if we see stuff that isn't great, we're going to criticize it. We're going to be fair, right? We're going to be fair. I've been very critical of Josh Jamar when he did the blue sky nonsense at these expos. But when he came out in 2024, that summer of 2024, I was there at that D23 Expo, and he blew the roof off that Honda Center. I mean, that D23 Parks panel was literally the best Parks panel they've ever done. And that was Josh. So when he does good, I'll say it. But when he messes up, I'll also say it. And I think Conductor is the same way. We're going to be honest. But Conductor, let's move on to our next topic, because you were there the other day for a big milestone for DCA. You were there for the 25th anniversary. Now, here is the thing. I want to set the table a little bit with this. I've always rooted for this park. I love DCA. I've always felt that it has never really lived up to its full potential. The anniversaries for DCA, I did a OG55 bar chat. It's a series I do here on the channel where I'm like on location and I'll have a beer with a fellow nerd and we'll discuss parks. Well, about a week or so ago, I did one of these bar chats with Mondo from Five Fires, and we were kind of talking about this, and we were like, we were talking how, like, usually, honestly, DCA at most will get just like a new pin release, if we're or like not even a pin release, like just a button when you walk in the door in the turnstile, right? This year we're getting a lot of stuff. I mean, it's kind of crazy. The Mickey Minnie new outfits we got right here, like you were saying, Humphrey the Bear. We got pin drops. We got merch, popcorn buckets, all kinds of stuff. So they're doing a lot more for DCA's birthday, which I absolutely love. That this park is actually getting a lot of love. I think that's fantastic. Now, you were there the other day. What was your experience?
So my experience right off the gate was there was a lot of energy and positive energy at best. Just with the atmosphere, people were excited about the merch. People were excited to see Mickey and Minnie with the original costumes, because me and Hollow Gelato were on location. And I'll tell you this, that Mickey, and I'm going to try to find the picture to send you, because I don't think I posted it, but we took a picture with Mickey, and it looked like he had original costume from the early days of DCA. So right there, the homage is screaming vibes to me. That was awesome.
Yes.
They had a, kind of like a photo opportunity in the Hyperion courtyard, and it was for Magic Key holders, and they had 3 different photo opportunities, but 2 of them were original concepts, but obviously has a bigger scale. So that was really cool. And Mickey again had an outfit that me and Hollow Gelato said we gotta Google this, because I kind of feel like the costume he's wearing is the original costume that he used to wear when DCA was brand new.
Yeah.
And
I saw that, and it's either the same one or very close.
Very close. And that's really cool that they showed that off. And then as OG has this picture up with Humphrey. Humphrey's a brand new character. Well, not a new Mean Greek character, but he's from the Disney Vault. It was really cool to be at Storytellers, and shout out to all the team members, the cast members that worked there. Absolute top-notch, amazing service, great atmosphere. The chefs do amazing work with the food. It's just phenomenal. But I will tell you this, because you can kind of see it behind Humphrey. I know Humphrey's the main focal point, but literally right behind him is a door, okay, that leads to the outdoor patio area and the main thoroughfare to walk on the outside of the Grand Cali. We were the second table from that door, so immediate action. As soon as he walked in, everyone was vibing out. Like, everyone is excited, cheering, yelling, and we had probably, I don't know, 20 executives literally watching this. And me and Hollow Gelato especially, we're like 5-year-olds. We're like, "Oh my god, it's on free. Oh my god, oh my god," and getting excited, and that's what they wanna see. And I will tell you right off the bat, the meet and greet characters, because we had Humphrey, we had Donald Duck, we had Daisy, we had Goofy, or not Goofy, I'm sorry, we had Pluto, and we had Clarabelle. Each one of these characters, their costumes were themed around Humphrey and the Grand
Oh, that's
Cali.
cool.
So that was really cool to see. And Humphrey and all the characters probably came around each of the tables 5 or 6 times through the night. It was amazing. So that's why I encourage people, if you really want that Disney experience for either yourself and the wife or the entire family, I urge you to go and check out Storytellers Cafe. It's such an amazing experience. It is a little pricey, but it's worth it. And and it's clear, because look at Humphrey was amazing. Oh my gosh, the interactions we had with Humphrey was just absolutely phenomenal. But you
Well, let
know,
me
it was a great time.
well, let me ask you this, conductor. So people at home kind of get an idea. Like, so this experience, it's a buffet style, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It's about, yes, it is a buffet style.
And
Absolutely.
and if you don't mind me asking, roughly, I don't need exact numbers, but roughly, how much did you guys pay per plate for this, if you were to guesstimate?
If I was going to guesstimate, about 65, that's before tax.
Okay. Yeah, that's up there. That's up there. What was basically on the menu? Like, what could you get? Like, I mean, was it kind of like the base? Was it like the like, I've been there. I've been storytellers a lot, but I go mostly for breakfasty stuff. Like, they
Yeah.
usually have like scrambled eggs and hash browns. Was
I
that kind of what
haven't
you?
done that yet.
Okay, so this was an evening thing for you guys, right?
Yes.
So what did you get?
So they had a lot of, high scaled food, but they had the generic food like the chicken fingers and stuff, but they also had prime rib, they had uh steamed sauteed vegetables, they had mashed potatoes, they had a lot of high end meats, they had clam chowder, which, man, their clam chowder, I can go vibing on that because I love Bubba Gump and I
Yeah.
love their clam chowder, and Storytellers literally hits the mark on that. So I love their clam chowder. So it was kind of a level between basic classic American and then higher scaled American food. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I've been to Storytellers. I've always had a good experience there. Me and my mom loves that place. So if I go with my mom, like she always likes to eat at Storytellers. It's a good little spot, dude. It really, really is. And I'm glad they added Humphrey. I think that's awesome. Now, we were talking about it on the phone, but we haven't talked about it on a video yet. They got to bring him to DCA like soon. Hey, look, and this is DCA's birthday. Okay, low key, it kind of bothers me that he's in the hotel and not in the park for DCA's 25th. Again, that's just me being a douchey fanboy, but I'm cool with it. That's fine. I can overlook it. But they have to eventually bring this bear to DCA. You can put it over there in the Grizzly Peak area. I mean, they've had, like, I think the group. It's like a country group, the guys that used to sing, and they had those guys over there by the lockers, I believe. I forgot the name. The miners, I think they're called the miners or something like that. The miners, I forgot what they were called, the gold miners or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, long story short, they had those guys there for a while. They've had meet and greets over in the Grizzly area before. There is no excuse not to bring Humphrey to that area, he would fit perfectly. Bring him in, bring him in. Now, Conductor, because you were there and you
Sure.
told me that you guys were sitting there and everybody was going nuts, like they brought Elvis back from the dead when Humphrey walked in, right? So, 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 like, but see, here's the thing: there were executives there too. So,
Yes.
do you think that based on the response you saw, the executives are like, okay, this bear is money. This bear is like, we gotta utilize him more often.
So this is the vibe I got. So because we had the very first dining reservation time. So we got to see Humphrey first before anyone else, besides probably cast members and execs beforehand. I will tell you, like I mentioned with the execs, they were excited to see the interactions. So that was awesome. And then as we were sitting there, more people were coming in for their reservation. They were excited. Kids were excited. Even Disney adults like myself, George, and all the Disney adults that were in there, because there was quite a bit. We were all vibing out. Then we had cast members coming from DCA walking in the storytellers to take a picture with them, and they weren't even part of storytellers. They were on their break or lunch. So that was really cool. Then people from the outdoor, patio area. I call it a patio area. I know it's not a patio, but the outside of storytellers, I could tell you were like taking pictures through the windows. People were excited. The vibe was there.
Crazy.
And by the end of the night, when right before we left, a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful character handler came up to us, started asking us questions about, you know, what was your experience with Humphrey? Did all the characters come up to your table? And we told her right off the bat, we said the characters were awesome. We got to see them 5 or 6 times. We were vibing out. It was totally awesome. And she was mentioning that, Humphrey's going to be temporary. He's fixed at storytellers for now. And then he might go away in August. But I kind of pushed the issue a little bit. I asked her, I said, well, what do you mean he's going to go away in August? What does that mean? Are you guys going to maybe send him to Walt Disney World, maybe Animal Kingdom or something like that for Wilderness Lodge, or what's your plans with that? And they're all like, well, that's the time frame the execs have given Humphrey to be part of storytellers, maybe a meet and greet location, even though she didn't hint at that. In DCA around Grizzly River one. Actually, me and George were actually the one that actually pushed the issue and said Humphrey would be a great meet and greet location at the little DVC area that they don't even utilize, and you have the wood carving of one of the country bears.
Yeah.
Put him right there, or put him, by the lockers, or put him maybe in the Redwood Creek trail somewhere where they do it anyway with Santa Claus and Villains Grove and all that for Oogie Boogie Bash. I said there's plenty of locations, because I told the cast member, I said, if you have Humphrey, seriously, if you have Humphrey in DCA adjacent to Grizzly River Run, you're going to see crowds like you've never seen before, because the fact that people and storytellers were super excited to see Humphrey. The fact that we had cast members working in DCA that kind of were noticed or got a notification that Humphrey was making his debut. They were coming in from DCA on their lunch break, on their break, to walk in the storytellers to take pictures with Humphrey. We had people, with their phones outside storytellers taking pictures from the outside in. So I could tell you right off the bat, just to button this up on my end, the vibes were there. The
Okay.
excitement is there. There's no reason why Disney will get rid of Humphrey, because you could clearly see the costume is just in person. The picture is amazing, but it doesn't do you justice. Seeing him in person, you could tell they spent some money on that costume, and I can promise you they're not going to have him, entertaining guests as storytellers and possibly making, a special appearance in DCA to go throw the costume in a warehouse somewhere and forget about it. There's no way.
Yes, I would agree with you. I definitely would agree with you. And you also have to also remember too, DCA, and this kind of circles back to the studio, right? The whole thing with the studio and how everything in the parks now is IP. Disney is probably low key behind the scenes looking for some sort of IP they can kind of sprinkle into Grizzly.
And
Because
this is
Grizzly, right, Grizzly River Run does not have an IP, but this would be it. Because this is a beta test. We've talked about it a lot here at OG55, where Disney will take meet and greets as a way to gauge public perception, or like, whether people like certain IP in certain areas. We saw a lot of the Marvel characters hanging out around Hollywood before they built Avengers Campus. I used to see Tarzan over there by the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse before they transformed it to the Tarzan treehouse. The Toy Story characters were in Tomorrowland before we got the Buzz Lightyear stuff. So this is a tactic they do. As our good friend Bricky says, look at Disney's history to predict their future, right? That's his thing. And he's right. So this is a test. They're not going to say it, but it is. It's a test. If Humphrey really takes off and people love this guy, and it seems like they do, I could see them turning Grizzly Peak into like a Humphrey the Bear, maybe Humphrey and Donald Duck. Having a Humphrey animatronic and a Donald Duck in there, and kind of having at least that attraction have some sort of IP representation. I think that Disney really does want that. We've seen them sort of dabbling with this with Grizzly Peak, like you were saying, we got the country bear outside there. We got Humphrey now in that general location with storytellers. They really do want to add some sort of IP to this area. And I wouldn't surprise me if Grizzly Peak gets a permanent Humphrey retheme, but we'll see. We will see. But go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I've sent you some pictures on your Instagram if you want to pull them up of the characters, and then they actually did a dance. You don't have to play the music on that little clip, but I did send you some pictures of what Mickey and Minnie were wearing in DCA. That kind of ties into what I was mentioning about their classic outfits, and then just the outfits of the characters that were part of this dining experience as storytellers. It was kind of really tied in to Humphrey, but like you could clearly see, I know it's kind of hard to see in a way, but if you look at Mickey's shirt, you look at Minnie's shirt, it kind of represents what DCA started with the Pixar Pal Round Fun Wheel, or the Pal Round. That emblem, those colors, and then Mickey actually on his jacket, I think it was either on the backside or like on the sleeve, it had like classic patches from the old school, DCA era. So that was really cool. And again, it's capable of doing this. My only critique about the DCA 25th celebration, I will tell you that I'm kind of a little disappointed in, is that they're not making it where you look at Disneyland 70th, you look at Disneyland 100th, you look at some of these other celebrations. They're not making it, a whole year. They're making it a couple of days and then that's it. It's like, that's kind of unjustified, at least for me. That was
Yeah.
unjustified. And I didn't like it. Yeah, it's on my Instagram. I haven't had time to throw it on my X yet, but
That's fine.
it's something that I wish they would have an all year, celebration, and they would bring more nostalgia from the old school DCA and incorporate it in today's standards of DCA. Not at the scale it once was, even though I would think that would be amazing. But kind of do like little photo ops, have the characters wearing classical outfits, bring merch like this that kind of ties into the history, even though I want to like to have the the sun logo instead of the Mickey face, but hey, it's still pretty cool. And kind of really tie into that DCA history of 25 years and really pushed the issue, or not an issue, but pushed the momentum to say we are proud that we have a theme park that is celebrating its 25th birthday.
Now, is this yours or was it your buddy's? Like, did you buy this?
I bought it. So I
So
bought
you did
one
buy that.
for,
Okay.
yeah, because I have it over my shoulder here on my night, or on my dresser over here, and then I bought one for Tommy because he's like, I got to get one of those. I got to do it.
Oh yeah.
So that was really cool. And I'll tell you, a lot of cast members. I'm telling you right now, a lot of cast members, because I had it sitting on the table at Storytellers. They came up to me and George. I'm not even kidding. They came up to me and George, and they were asking about it. They're like, "Where'd you get that? What are the locations?" Because they actually went on their break or their lunch to go get it. So people were excited about this popcorn bucket. And what's funny is, again, I haven't really posted the clips yet because I just went last night, so I haven't had time to edit. Was that some of the characters, like all the characters, Humphrey and all of them, when I had it there, they were spinning it because it does spin. And if you click the little nose, you click it, or and it lights up. And as you spin it, it changes colors. The whole wheel changes colors. So it was pretty funny to watch like Humphrey and Pluto and Clarabelle and all these characters just spinning it. And
That's fantastic.
yeah, and at first they were spinning it and nothing was happening. I'm like, whoa, wait. I turn it on with the lights and then they start spinning and they start playing with it. It was a lot of fun. And one thing about Humphrey, it was hilarious. And I was laughing so hard. Me and George were laughing. So he's sitting there spinning it and he's getting excited, right? You could tell. But then he kind of like reaches over and looks in there because on the back half, there's an opening for like popcorn, right? And he was looking for the popcorn. And I said, "Sorry, Humphrey, I ate it." And he's like, kind of playing that emotion. Dude, it was hilarious.
That's amazing. No, it's great. I love this, man. I love this just general celebration of this park, and even like the picture you had of Mickey and Minnie with the classic DCA costumes. They're tapping into now. Our good friend Bricky has brought this up, and I would agree with him. DCA doesn't have a ton of nostalgia. It's still a pretty new park, and a lot of it has been redone. So a lot of the stuff that was there isn't even there anymore. But I think Disney has done a really good job with this 25th anniversary of sort of tapping into the nostalgia that they can tap into,
Sure.
and I think it's really cool to bring in these old costumes from when it first opened. That's awesome, man. That is really, really cool. This popcorn bucket is absolutely beautiful. It's a little on the pricey side, right? It's like $50.
55 including tax.
55, yeah. See that, and see, even 55, a little homage to me. I appreciate that, Disney. Thank you. but no, all kidding aside, no. I mean, I think it's fantastic. Is it pretty big too? I mean, how big are we talking?
It's pretty big. Actually, if you want to talk about it, I'll grab it real quick. If you want to talk about this pen, I'll grab it. Hold on.
Yeah. So he's gonna grab the popcorn bucket. We got some pins here too. We got a pin drop for the park's anniversary. Pretty cool looking stuff. I mean, this is pretty standard kind of, anniversary thing, right? Like, I mean, I've seen kind of this style pin before for Disneyland's anniversary. The color scheme is very similar, very reminiscent, in my opinion, to Disneyland's 60th, which is kind of interesting, but good looking merch overall. Go ahead, Conductor. I'm gonna go ahead and actually take this off my screen, and I'm gonna put you front and foremost. I'm gonna go off and have you solo.
All right. So this is the popcorn bucket right here. This thing is big. It's awesome. And then, like I was saying, Humphrey was trying to find the popcorn, couldn't find it. But this thing's awesome. And if you hit the nose, look at this. So I know it's kind of hard to see. Hold on. Let me change my lights here so you guys can kind of see it a little bit better. So it's going to get dark, but I know my TV's kind of, forsaken, but it does change colors. And as you spin it, it changes colors. You have the little buckets with the little emblem right here. Each bucket has a little bit of the Disney characters, so that's pretty awesome. And like I said, the characters were spinning it. It was phenomenal. So OG, I do recommend anybody to get this popcorn bucket. I'm not gonna lie, it is phenomenal. And one thing to note, if you do go into the park and you do wind up getting this popcorn bucket, they do not offer the magic key discount, and that's one of the topics we're going to get into, because there was a guy that was posted on social media. He had two big giant bags full of these things, total scalper, you can tell right off the bat. And that's something that concerned me, because when I got my bucket and we went to go get George's bucket next to Soren over California, because they started that yesterday. So they got rid of the around the world and they went back to the California theme. Because usually you see that with food and wine, but they're doing it all the way from yesterday all the way up to July 2nd. But going back to this, was soon as we went to go pick up George's bucket, was we already saw this bucket on eBay, at least 10 of them on eBay, each of them from different sellers, over $100. And like I just stated, this thing with tax was 55.
Crazy.
So
That's crazy. Well, we're going to talk about that. So let's go to that. But before we do, any
Sure.
thoughts on the pins? When you were getting your bucket, I was saying pretty standard looking pins, right? Kind of very reminiscent of other anniversary merch drops. But anything that stands out for you with these pins in particular?
So the pins kind of they kind of scream to me the diamond celebration. That it kind of has that color vibe to it, even the packaging. But the 25th anniversary logo that's next to Minnie that you're looking on the screen, it kind of screams that diamond celebration. And I love that, because I think we can all conclude that the diamond celebration at the Disneyland Resort was literally one of the best celebrations of our lifetime to experience at Disneyland. So I love that they went with this color scheme. So, I'm not disappointed. You have the best of both worlds. If you look at it, you have the vibrant colors of what DCA used to be from back in the day, and then you also have that diamond celebration colors as well with the logo. So I love that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree with everything you just said. It's very reminiscent of that 60th anniversary, which is cool. And I'm just glad that DCA is getting love for the 25th. It really does kind of shock me. And it shocks me because historically they haven't given DCA a lot of love for their anniversaries.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it shocks me even more so because the 25th falls it overlaps with Disneyland's 70th. So I thought, oh, there's no way where they're really going to do anything for the 25th, because they're not going to want to take any spotlight away from Disneyland, and their 70th. But here we are. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I hope people at home embrace it, because I want to see more celebrations for DCA. Obviously, you don't need to celebrate every year. Like, we don't need a big 26th anniversary, party. No, that's, but hey, a 30th anniversary, we should get that. And actually the 30th, a lot of this stuff will be open, hopefully, like the expansion stuff, right? Like Coco and Avengers, Pandora, maybe not. I don't know. That's still in 5 years. Pandora does seem to be a little bit on the delayed side. But if Pandora is open, let's just say all this stuff is open. You got both Avengers rides, the Coco boat ride, and Pandora is open by the 30th. They need to go all out with this 30th anniversary and just blow the lid off, man, and just have a party like you can't believe, and really just celebrate the park and really kind of like use that as a way to sort of like, as a catalyst to sort of like change the, I guess, the image of the park in a way. Like, hey, it's a new park now. We got Pandora, we got a lot of new rides. You got everyone. If you haven't been in a while, you got to come back.
Oh,
now,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead. The one thing I will say about this is, like I stated earlier, I wish they would celebrate the 25th for the full year. I wish they would do that. The other thing I kind of wish on before I talk about this guy's yeah, I have a word to say about that. But one of the things I would have liked to seen, and who knows, it maybe future announcements will be coming for it, but after dark events for DCA to celebrate the 25th, and we see characters we haven't seen since the very beginning of the opening of the 25th in their classical outfits from the Michael Eisner era. I think that would be absolutely phenomenal. People would geek out over that. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, that would. I would love to see Disney sort of get nerdy for like a great idea, Conductor, like an after hours event for like the diehards, and
Yes.
do like an after hours thing, like maybe for the 30th anniversary where they project like some footage from like DCA's opening day,
Oh,
like
dude.
Michael Eisner and Roy Disney talking about the parks, and project that on the Carthay Circle. I
Oh,
think that would be really, really cool. But we'll see. There's a lot of potential here. But I saw this and you saw this. This is crazy. So it says here, popcorn bucket guy strikes again. So I guess this guy has done this before. I'm assuming with what Magic with Ryan is saying that people have seen this guy do this in the past, but this has been an ongoing issue at Disney where these merch drops happen and people go and they buy like 30 of these things and then they go and they sell them on eBay for like 3 times the price. It's terrible, man.
well, see, and I give all the credit in the world to Hollow Gelato because he actually mentioned this, and it was a good point. I didn't even really analyze it until he said it. Was that again with the popcorn bucket? Is since they didn't allow Magic key holders to use their discount, and you had to pay full price, stuff like this happens because when you look at it, okay. It was limited 2 per customer, right?
Right.
But the problem I see with this is exactly what we're looking on the screen. If they did allow Magic key holders to use their discount, maybe at a lesser percentage because it's limited merch, but still allow you to use your Magic key discount, then they can track it. So if this guy, for example, or any other person literally sits there and goes to one stand, gets 2, goes to another stand, gets 2, goes to another stand, gets 2, how are they going to know? How are they going to know? The only way to stop something like this is to allow Magic key holders to use their discount again at a smaller percentage because it's limited merch, and I understand. But at that point, if you use your Magic key discount and they scan it, then they can track you. So if you go to another location and they scan it again, they're going to be like, hey, you already got 2. Sorry, you can't get any more. You're done.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think that a lot of these people that do this kind of stuff, they'll work around that. And what I mean by that is you're not wrong. I mean, that is they could definitely track it. But I think people like this that do this kind of thing will they'll take their 2 buckets with that Magic Key discount,
Uh-huh.
and then they'll buy the 15 other buckets full price. And they'll still get the same amount of merch. Yeah, they'll take the discount on the 2 that they're allowed, and then the rest of them they'll just pay full price.
Sure.
I think if you're hell bent on doing this, I think people are going to do it. And I think that, unfortunately, and the problem too is, man, like, Disney doesn't really have much incentive to sort of like crack down. Yeah. I mean, Disney gets their money. Like this guy spent probably $600 or whatever. I mean, I don't know how many buckets are in there, but if they're 55 a pop, I mean, dude, this guy spent hundreds of dollars based on what we're seeing here.
Easily.
Disney's fine. Disney got their money. You know what I'm saying? And what he does with them afterwards isn't really much concern to Disney. And unfortunately, I don't know. I wish Disney, though, would take it a little more seriously. I do think that they have tried a little bit here and there to sort of police this stuff, but not hard enough, in my opinion.
No, and that's something I talked to you about before we went and are recording this video, is that I honestly feel that, again, this is not tomorrow's priority because he's got so much other stuff to do as the CEO and Dana Walden as the president. But I will tell you this, this is one of many things that needs to be addressed, because we've seen this also with, you know, remaining Disney stores, where people will go in with the double wide strollers with no kid, literally grab the merch, hold on to the merch, put it all in their, you know, stroller, even though there's no kid in sight, and they won't buy it yet. And they'll literally go on Whatnot or some of these, you know, live auction apps and start an auction before the person even buys it. That way they can make money. And
Yeah.
this is something, again, it bugs me, because when I'm sitting there, you know, and I don't mind it, but waiting in line, sweating my butt off to get one of these, and I see a guy do this, and then I go on eBay or one of these platforms, and I see that they're selling them for triple the price, double the price.
Terrible.
It's almost disgusting behavior.
It
So
is.
you know, in the near future, again, I know this is not a priority of the new administration coming in, but I think it does need to be addressed at some point.
Yeah. How funny would that be if this guy walked right past Bob Iger and
Oh,
Josh tomorrow?
dude, one's
I mean,
shot.
yeah, that would be crazy. But I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, I do believe that something needs to be done about it. It's obnoxious, and it's something that we've seen over the years. It's a trend, right? And people have completely, you know, people trying to make a living off of Disney, but which I don't mind that. I don't mind if someone has a business or something that they're like, you know, providing content like we do, or maybe they sell merch that, like, you know, relates to Disney fans. I don't mind that. Hardworking people doing stuff, they deserve to get paid. I totally understand that. But this isn't that.
No,
This isn't that. This isn't this person. They're not creating anything. They're just what they're doing is they're buying it up with the hopes of it being making it more scarce, which then forces people online and then forces people to buy their upcharged bucket. And that's, it's dirty, dude. It's dirty. Again, I don't mind people making a living off of Disney and that you know, look, I mean, you know, we are both monetized here on YouTube. We talk about Disney stuff. So technically we're, you know what I'm saying? But this whole thing with the buckets is completely different because you're taking away, there's a finite amount of buckets there. These people that do this know that, and they're
yes,
hoping that they run out. So then when you go to their website, you're desperate. Now you want it so bad, you'll pay $97 for it, where, you know, you could have paid 55. So it's dirty, man. It really is dirty.
no,
So
100%. And again, it's disgusting behavior. It really honestly is, and it kind of destroys the magic in a way. And I do not like that, because I think they do need to crack down on that. Because when I have cast members coming up to me and storytellers seeing this thing that they've only seen pictures of, and they're telling me and Hollow Gelato and other people, I'm going to go on my break, or I'm going to go on my 30-minute lunch, not even have lunch, go into the park and grab one of these. And then you see this guy, it's totally destroying the magic, and it's disgusting behavior, and I do not like it. I
I
hate
agree.
it.
I agree. I agree. There are a lot of ugly components that have sort of been birthed from this annual pass culture that has been sort of growing since probably what, the 90s or so. There are a lot of now look, the annual pass culture, a lot of it is beautiful. And what I mean by that is it's great that you have people that are diehard fans that love going to these places, that think of these places like home. I love that. That's awesome. But to pretend like there's not negative side effects would be naive, you know, and there are people that go all the time. This is what happens. You have people now that are turning this thing into, you know, it's just, it's kind of gross. And I really do hope that eventually, like you were saying, Tomorrow has bigger fish to fry right now. He's got other things on his plate with the whole company. But I hope eventually they do address this stuff and really start cracking down more than they have historically on it. Because I agree with you. It's ugly, man, and
Yeah,
it's bad. I mean, it takes away. Like this guy bought how many of these buckets? Some kid was unable to get their bucket because this guy had to buy 19 of them.
yeah. Well, see that's what I mean when you look at people's skepticism of DeMauro becoming the CEO as a parks guy. You know, I have a better idea from a content creator perspective from the outside looking in that an issue like this will be addressed under his administration. Will it be addressed immediately? No, because we can both agree he has too many other things to deal with that are a lot
Right.
bigger. But being a parks guy compared to the last couple CEOs that we've had, which are basically that studio side wall, corporate America type that, encourage, behavior like this and other things that we don't 100% agree with, they're not going to do anything about it because it prints money for them and the company. So they don't care. But that's what I was saying earlier on with tomorrow. When you look at the scale level, you know, Iger's up here and all the other CEOs, and DeMarle's down here. He relates to us better than Iger and the past CEOs that are that corporate America type. And there's nothing wrong to be part of that corporate America culture as running a company because you got to keep the company afloat. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the
Right.
same time, when you have egregious behavior like this, or things are happening at the parks level, or at the the level where a good 90% of your fan base relates to, and you don't address these problems, that is where it festers and eventually it explodes into a bigger problem.
Yeah. No, well said, brother. Now we're gonna close it out. A few things actually before we close it out. We talked a lot about anniversaries, and I want to bring up something kind of fun. I have an intro from back in the day.
Ooh, I
It's a
can't wait.
oh, this is great. It's a vintage like OG55 intro that I used. Very reminiscent of like the 1950s when Disneyland opened. So I'm gonna play it in the spirit of Disneyland Resort anniversaries. Here we go.
Welcome to Orange Grove 55.
I
Isn't
love that.
beautiful? You have a tear in your eye, conductor?
I do. I do. Yeah, I do. Oh,
Welcome to Orange Grove 55.
hey,
There we
dude, that all you need now, because I know Bricky did like a little bit of a series at one point or another where he was like total like wearing a suit, a tie, and it was that black and white color scheme. Dude, if you
Oh,
added that segment to that, oh
woo.
my god.
Perfect, perfect. I also do have a remixed version when this is a couple years ago when I first got into K-pop and I was introduced to Blackpink. I remixed that intro with some K-pop. I'll show you that one right now too.
Orange Grove 55.
It's the revolution.
That is so awesome.
Orange Grove 55.
It's the revolution.
Oh, it's definitely the revolution. You kidding me? That
We're
was
the
awesome.
we're the revolution. We are absolutely the revolution. But
Gosh.
before we get out of here, I wanna give a big shout out to the lovely, the one and only Miss Me Fan. She does a lot of lifestyle content, food content, all around LA and the OC area. This right here is comfort food done right in the heart of the 626. Make sure you check out Mimi if you're looking for like food stuff outside of that theme park experience. Mimi is your girl. She will hook you up in regards to all these great places in the general area. Some of these places are actually pretty close to Disneyland. So, theme park food ain't always the best. Sometimes you want to get, a really, really good meal, maybe some good Vietnamese food. Make sure you check out Mimi Fan down below in the description. Mimi does our lovely outro here on the channel. So make sure you check her out and support her 1000%. We also have the one and only Mr. Jared from Capture the Magic. He's got a great t-shirt store, CTM Apparel, for all your nerdy needs, whether it's a Nintendo shirt, whether it's a Disney park shirt, whether it's a Universal Parks shirt. A lot of great stuff here. And if you use promo code OG55, you'll get 10% off your order. So make sure you check it out. Hey, you've all seen Jared. Jared, he's cut, man. He's cut. And if you want to look cut like Jared, you got to buy one of his shirts. All right, Mr. Conductor, where can everybody find you on social media, my friend?
Absolutely. You can find me on YouTube and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor, Instagram at theme_park_conductor, on X at Theme Conductor, TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1, and every Sunday at 5 or 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we have amazing guests like the one and only Orange Go 55 with that wild, wicked, amazing hairstyle that I love so much. And then we have also other amazing guests, which for the first time ever, we just had Hey Bricky on, and I cannot wait to get him back on the show. It was such a great conversation, really learned a lot. And it was myself, Orange Go 55, Bricky, and Tommy Toon World. Please go check that out on the channel. Amazing discussion. And, we break down Disney and Universal news. We speculate, we talk rumors. And the chat, they engage with us. We engage with them. It's such a great time. It's so awesome.
Absolutely. And you have a theme park conductor Sunday tomorrow night, right? You have a special guest coming on.
I do, and it's actually one of my followers, and I cannot wait to have him on. He's been messaging me for the last 2 weeks to come on, so I can't wait to I can't wait to interview him, because I love, having new people on, getting their perspective, because that's something that we all love. We have a passion for the parks. We have a passion for the experiences, and each person usually has their unique way of looking at it. So I cannot wait to have them on.
Yeah, 100%. Make sure you check out Theme Park Conductor. His live shows are fire. They are fire. Make sure you check them out. Obviously, his information will be in the description down below. I also add Theme Park Conductor as a collaborator here on the channel, so you'll be able to see his channel right next to the subscribe button in this video as well. So you'll be able to see that. But Conductor, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I want to thank everybody for watching this episode of OG55. And like I said, we're going to close this video out like we always close it out, with the lovely, the one, the only, me.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and become a member today. Mwah!